For decades, the European Union was governed mainly by a triumvirate of three nations: Britain, France, and Germany. These three main stakeholders in the Union were seen to have governed it with input from the rest of its members. However, in June of 2016, the United Kingdom had voted to pull out of the Union, leaving it and other member states in a state of post-breakup withdrawal. Very little was done by the EU to plan towards a post-Brexit future, as insults were flung and efforts of courtship in the promise of a second referendum were still made. However, in December of 2019, after a major Conservative Party victory under Prime Minister Boris Johnson, the European Union woke up to the stark realization that it and Britain were not meant to reconcile. Thus, a plan for a post-Brexit future truly began. After what was most likely not an exhausted search, the EU seemed like it found its ideal partner to replace Britain, the nation of Poland. In this video, I will show why Poland will rise to prominence to either replace Britain in this triumvirate or govern European politics in its own way. This is the 10,000. If you enjoy the content, like and subscribe to support the channel. Just as it took Nixon to go to China, it takes Macron to go to Poland. Only 2 days after Brexit, on the 3rd of February 2020, French President Emmanuel Macron visited with his Polish counterpart Andrzej Duda in Warsaw to discuss greater integration of the European Union. This meeting right after Brexit with the Polish president was not just a coincidence, but indicative of the changes that will come within the Union. For France and the EU elite, Poland is an ideal partner to integrate with on account of its economic vibrance, its militaristic enthusiasm, and shockingly political stances. If the European Union fails to woo Warsaw, others will, and they will lose the opportunity not only to take part in this growing dynamism, but to create stability within the Union as well. Poland is a nation that has recently risen from its post-Warsaw Pact poverty. In our last two entries, I mentioned the well-documented economic miracles in Japan and China. However, something that is less well-touted is the economic miracle that Poland is now experiencing. Poland's rapid rise to prominence was brought about by how quickly it decollectivized and transitioned to a market economy, and how it managed to form democratic institutions that allowed the growth to be spread throughout Poland's economy and classes. It has since integrated well with the European economy and is an important part of the German industrial supply chain. Throughout the last 3 decades, Poland has seen remarkable growth in its economy, as its real GDP has tripled. Its average wages have doubled, and it has become remarkably more equal as a society. From 2004 to 2017, Poland's Gini index, a measurement used to determine how unequal a society is, has dropped about 8 points, 38 to 30. This has made Poland almost as equal as it was during its communist government, something hard to do for an advanced emerging market. The wealth distribution throughout the society has given Poland something completely rare in today's European economies: consumption-led growth. Poland has constantly outperformed its neighbors, even maintaining positive growth during the recession and European sovereign debt crisis that devastated and stagnated its European counterparts. In fact, Poland has seen continuous growth since its decollectivization in 1992. Now Poland has been given the chance to catch up. As McKinsey predicts, Poland might soon be the growth engine of Europe, yet again doubling its economy and catching up to its Western counterparts. Poland, although smaller in population than the countries such as Spain and Italy, has the potential to punch well above its weight when it comes to productivity. If Poland catches up to the GDP levels in Spain, then it would have jumped from the GDP of $586 million to over $1.4 trillion. This scenario may seem fantastical because of its smaller population, but compared to the stagnating southern European countries that might have taken Britain's place, Poland has a younger and much more educated workforce. Poland boasts a world-class secondary educational system and a workforce of young university graduates, many of whom have master's degrees. Poland has the largest educated talent pool in the European Union, and most of that talent has opted to study university skills that the country desperately needs to modernize. Of the 7.2 million Poles who graduated from university or equivalent between 1998 and 2012, 800,000 graduates have technical degrees and 185,000 of them are in information technology. This is even more impressive when you consider that Poland is a country of only 38 million people. The integration of digital and information technology across Poland's economy can cause it to catch up to the productivity of Western European countries and therefore provide jobs across the board for its highly educated populace. Many Poles are not only technically prepared for a growing marketplace, but linguistically prepared as well. Poland has one of the highest English-speaking rates in all of Europe, just behind Germany, Austria, and Belgium, and many of those speakers are the university-educated young. It has been often noted that English language speaking skills and a high degree of education was the main reason for the Irish Tiger in the 2000s. If the digital infrastructure is built, the upwardly mobile young in Poland will be in a key position to capitalize on new job opportunities. If Poland's government plays its cards right, it is on the precipice of an economic boom. There will be an economic impact of the virus, however. Poland's GDP is expected to contract at about 0.5%, small compared to many of its European partners, but not insignificant. This will undoubtedly shorten the timeline Poland has to re-emerge as an economic powerhouse, but will most likely not prevent it. If the potential economic boom does not entice the European elite, the security of the continent might. Poland is at the geographical center of Europe, between its neighbors in the east, Russia, and the west, Germany. Squeezed between the Baltic to the north and the Carpathian mountain range to its south, Poland sits upon the narrowing of the North European plain, the geopolitical superhighway that stretches from the Ural Mountains to the Atlantic Ocean. Throughout history, this superhighway has been used as a launching board for military campaigns into Russia or into Europe. At the present moment, it is a zone of contention between NATO forces and their European partners, and Russian forces in their continually diminished ally base. Poland, which has both dominated and been dominated in this narrowing in the European plain, is acutely aware of the strategic position it holds on the map. As Russia continues to decline and thus acts more aggressively, Poland's position will be all the more crucial. As I have mentioned in my video about French hegemony, Macron and the European elites wish to form a European army that can act harmoniously independent of NATO. Poland's military, who constantly nears NATO targets for spending, will be vital for the integration of a European army and may convince countries in Central Europe and the Baltics to integrate their militaries with them. A seat at the table of European power will incentivize Poland to fall in line with its European compatriots. Throughout the centuries, in order to remain independent from Germanic and Eastern aggressors, Poland has sought to make alliances with nations unable to acquire its position on the map. Normally, Poland sought friends with the major powers south of the hard-to-traverse Carpathian Mountains, like the Ottoman and Hungarian empires. Today, the outside power that secures Poland is not based anywhere near the Carpathians, but about 4,500 miles away from Warsaw on the eastern seaboard. One of the major imperatives in American foreign policy is to make sure Europe is divided, and Russian encroachment in Central Europe is a main threat to this imperative. Therefore, a strong Central European power will ensure this imperative is met. Presently, Poland is very favorable of NATO and has been an enthusiastic member of the organization since it joined in March of 1999. The United States and Poland are, of course, on very good terms. Not only had the United States delivered supplies and organization to the Polish Solidarity movement during the 1980s, but it now provides a steady rotation of 5,500 troops to defend Poland from aggression at any given time. Time and time again, the Poles have proven their mature policy of currying American favor. Even knowing how to get what they need from the current American administration, Poland has offered to help build a permanent Fort Trump in Poland. This American interest in Poland will not only provide it with security, but very favorable technology transfers. As South Korea and Israel know too well, if the United States cares about the geopolitical significance of your country, then it will be more lucrative for your society than striking oil. The technology transfers that Poland needs so badly for its economy will be given to it by the United States. As a sign of this dynamic, Poland went lockstep with the Americans, being the first European country to agree to work with the United States in 5G technology and completely banned Huawei technologies from the country. The economic and military dominance that Poland exhibits will go hand in hand. However, to achieve a seat of power inside Europe not only requires military and economic might, but political maneuvering as well. Since its ascension to the European Union in 2004 to 2015, Poland has been the poster boy for European integration. In Poland, there has been a sense of gratefulness towards the EU, as access to the common market and subsidies from the Union have played a major part in modernizing Poland's economy. However, after the Euro crisis and the election of the Nationalist Law and Justice Party, Warsaw has led a strong bloc that is skeptical of ceding more power to Brussels. This soft Eurosceptic faction has taken form as the Visegrad Group, an ancient alliance that was resurrected after the fall of communism in Central Europe. Just as the old alliance was formed to bypass the seat of European power in Vienna, this new Visegrad Group played an integral role in establishing Central European interests against the seat of power in Brussels. The coalition contains the former Eastern Bloc countries of Poland, Czechia, Hungary, and Slovakia, all of whom prefer their own national ways and identity than the integration and standardization of customs and laws proposed by Brussels. All of these countries, except for Slovakia, have their own currencies and do not use the euro, an important sign of their independence. If the European elites truly wish to integrate the continent, then they need to acquiesce to some of the demands of the ruling and popular Polish Law and Justice Party. The political divisions, although a barrier, can be used as a place to find agreement and compromise. The Visegrad groups and Poland's soft Euroscepticism, something that can be seen as a weakness in the European political system, is something that can be used for greater integration. The trend of localization that is happening throughout the world is not one to be ignored. If it wishes to survive, especially after the pandemic, the European Union needs Poland not only to rein in the Visegrad group's Eurosceptic tendencies, but it needs Poland to be a continental token of European solidarity. The wish to regulate Polish courts, laws, and for Poland to adopt the euro needs to be abandoned if the Union wishes to exist and grow stronger. After the euro crisis, which many European countries have never recovered from, the EU's governing elites have shown to be more ideological than accommodating. As any physicist can tell you, a rigid structure is more likely to collapse than a free-flowing one. If the Union wishes to exist in the coming years, it needs to acquiesce to Polish demands. The rise of Poland will most likely happen, and European power will most likely shift towards Central Europe as the strategically important countries on the border of the EU continue to progress. Whether the EU elites have learned their lessons with Brexit and the euro crisis is still to be determined, but their mistakes must be learned fast. At the end of the day, just like Britain, Poland's new relationship with Brussels will be the result of a series of negotiations and compromises. But there is one thing that is certain. Poland is in the driver's seat of these negotiations. With a divided Germany, a stagnant Southern Europe, and other countries too small in population and economy to provide a clear bloc of resistance, the European elite in Poland have a chance to remake the European Union in their own image. Poland will be a decisive player in European politics in the years to come. Whether this rise will help the European Union is yet to be determined.